Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning into Leadership Matters, Informing Leaders, Inspiring Solutions. I am Dr. Andre Howard, your lead co-host, Dr. Dre. I'm delighted to have with me my co-hosts, Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Loretta. We want to say to everyone, Happy New Year. Hey, Dr. Cheryl. Hey, Dr. Loretta.
Hey, hey, hey,
Hey,
Dr. Dre.
All right, it's been a moment, but we're back here in the
Mhm.
saddle. We again want to thank everyone for continuing to send in their comments, their feedback, their questions at Leadership Matters questions at innovisions.org. And we'll say that a few more times throughout the show so folks can continue to send in their feedback and comments, drop us a line in terms of how we are doing. Today and this month, we're going to be focusing on visionary leadership from a nonprofit lens. Visionary nonprofit leaders, visionary leaders for that part, sees beyond today's crises to create lasting change. And the sector obviously faces all kinds of challenges at the ultra level. And leaders who are visionary don't just protect what exists, but they certainly think about the future and create what's sustainable. And so today, as well as the following episodes in this month, we'll explore this whole concept around visionary leadership in our sector. And actually, what does that mean? Are those just a few words that we put together that are kind of vague? We really want to get definitive around that and what that looks like. We are also exceptionally excited to have Claude Robinson with us today, who's going to kind of lead us in this discussion around visionary leadership. Claude Robinson is the founder and president of Onyx Strategic Partners, and he'll certainly discuss and dive deep into, again, visionary leadership, and we'll introduce him a little bit more in just a moment. But just a little bit about Claude. He was born in Philly, attended Northwestern Military Naval Academy in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, where he excelled as a student athlete and a leader. And Claude's passion for sports led to a deep commitment to youth development through his work as an AAU basketball coach. And for 3 decades, Claude has served as the Executive Vice President of External Affairs and Diversity at UCAN, earning all kinds of recognition from Mayor Daley, Crane Chicago Business as notable DEI executive, the Chicago Community Trust Donald Stewart Fellowship, and so much more accolades go out to Claude. And Claude serves on the board of directors for the Rush BMO Institute for Health, Equity, and the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission as well. And Claude is a devoted husband to Heather Ireland Robinson and father to 3 children. And so, again, we welcome you, Claude, as part of our show today. Thank you for
Brett,
being here.
it is great to be here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share with your audience.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. So we'll get into it a bit more with Claude on this afternoon, but I want to take a time this time to kind of respond to our first audience question that we received. And that question is, what does a visionary leader look like today? What does a visionary leader look like today? That's from the audience, and we appreciate that question. So, Dr. Loretto, have you take us swing at that, and then Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Claude, if you'd like to chime in as well, that would be great. But Dr. Loretto, what do you think?
Hey, well, I always love these questions, and it really did make me think about what do I see in people who I think are visionary leaders. And one of the things is that they're really in it for the long game, like their strategic planning, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what's going to be happening. They look at trends. They're not so much as concerned about their role, but maybe who will actually be able to replace them. They're mentoring and grooming people, and they don't mind to take a chance. Some people look at the barriers as, oh, we're not going to make it, this is going to happen, but they look at it as opportunity to maybe grow in another different direction or something. So, and they listen, and they're never afraid to say, you know what, I made a mistake. So those are the people who I have admired the most, and I consider visionary leaders.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Cheryl.
Yeah, I will ditto. I love Loretta's answer. And we'll just say, add to that individuals who are able to look beyond what is to what's possible. I think they're possibility thinkers, possibility planners, and I would, so if those who can see beyond what is to what is possible, have a hope and a faith that they can hold that vision long enough to put a plan together and do some goal setting and I might say performance management toward that vision. So it's not just simply being the visionary piece is looking beyond. The leadership piece is being able to mobilize others to achieve that possibility.
Yeah, great.
Oh,
Excellent.
yeah, totally agree.
Mhm,
Visionary leaders are
mhm,
compassionate. They're credible, they're courageous, and then
mhm,
for me, they challenge the status quo. And
mhm,
we look at we're bracketed between the Dr. King holiday and now in Black History Month at the moment. I know a lot of people
mhm,
probably already moved on from Dr. King now,
mhm,
conditioned to do that way, but his message is real. And
mhm,
back during those times, similar to where we are today, he
mhm,
was challenging what was going on and
mhm,
called America to do what you said on paper. Don't just write it down. And
mhm,
another leader, I think, is as we're in Black History Month, is Ida B. Wells.
mhm,
At that time, after slavery was over,
mhm,
all the lynchings that were taking place, and she took it upon herself as a Black woman to
mhm,
say this is not right, and was
mhm,
courageous enough. Almost cost her life. She had to
mhm,
leave the South to come to Chicago and started to challenge then at that time the movement of social workers. A lot of white social workers were putting these things in place, and Ida B. Wells at the same time was like, what is this? You're
mhm,
not focused on what's happening in society as you should. So, the
mhm,
vision to challenge and to be compassionate about others is vital.
Yeah, absolutely.
mhm. I
Yeah.
have to do a shout out to the Ida B. Wells as a sorority member with regards to she was
Right.
one of our fabulous members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
All right.
Very cool.
Founders.
And I don't
Mhm,
have much to add to what has
mhm,
already been shared. I think
mhm,
the visionary leader, from my perspective, certainly is a humbled soul, right? They don't have all the answers. They don't pretend to have all the answers. They are there to learn and kind of co-create a space where people can certainly challenge assumptions. And they ask really powerful questions like, is this the way it's supposed to be?
Hmm.
And to me, that really comes down to what a visionary leader is all about. So thank you. Hopefully, that audience member who posed that question, hopefully you got a little bit out of that. But that to us is what a visionary leader looks like today. All right, let's get started. Let's get into our show. Again, so glad to have you here, Claude. Appreciate you. You and I have been together for probably a decade or two. I don't want to date ourselves,
Been,
but
it's
just
been a long
appreciate you.
time.
It's been a long time. Absolutely, absolutely. So Claude, let's
mhm,
start out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your leadership journey.
Sure. I think I've always been a leader. I can think back to kindergarten and how I used to watch sometimes how kind of kids interacted. And I never liked kids being picked on
Mm,
by bullies. And I always questioned it. So I always consider myself being on the side of people who didn't have things that they needed. And that's kind of guided how I am as a leader, always wanting to see balance and harmony in relationships. And then if you go into like a workplace to look at kind of the environment there and to make sure that the environment was one where everybody felt like they could be who they are and at the same time add value to the
mhm,
organization.
mhm,
So, and I think I'm pretty intense as well. My
mm.
mother would probably say that, and I know a lot of other people say that as
Right.
well. But when you know who you are,
Yeah.
and when you know what your purpose is, you can just get in there, and then that's who you are. So I always feel like I've been a leader, and that doesn't mean that you're always like out front and leading and stuff. I also know how to lead from behind, and I really like setting up other people to be successful. So if I have resources, if I have access, and I'm able to help others I'm going to do that every time.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Claude.
Mm, love
Yeah,
that. Mm,
right. I love that too. So,
mm.
Claude, I'll ask you, what does visionary nonprofit leadership mean and look like to you?
Yeah, so visionary for me for say a nonprofit leader,
Hmm.
it's clear. A nonprofit should have a mission, it should have values, and it should have a vision, and the statement could be one thing, So all of those things, a visionary leader for me is one who sees mission, vision, and values and is
Hmm.
able to embody them
Hmm.
in their leadership. And
Hmm.
it's not a show. It
Hmm.
really is a deep commitment to why you are in that position. And you have the responsibility of leading and that there are others behind you. So
Hmm.
you take it, you take it personal, not in a way where you're downing yourself, but you're in that role to really help people, not only who you serve, say your service population, you're in that role for staff members as well. You can have a profound impact on people's lives. So a
Hmm.
visionary leader to me, KPIs, performance evaluations, metrics, all that process stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah. Even strategic plans. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How are you treating people?
Hmm.
Is always top of mind for me. So a
Hmm.
visionary leader is clear that
Hmm.
that's what they're in that role for.
Hmm. So, are you seeing that show up and that visionary leadership show up in organizations you're working with?
Oh, definitely. In
Hmm.
particular, I have two,
Hmm.
and being a little older, I'm
Hmm.
getting an opportunity to see younger professionals, younger leaders, and see
Hmm.
their energy and hear them critique older folks who
Hmm.
have these models of how things are supposed to be and are really critical about them. And
Hmm.
I'm able to see that energy, that passion, that approach to the workplace.
Hmm.
And two in particular,
Hmm.
Dion Dawson, the founder of Dion Chicago Dream, and another client of mine, Titani Harris from TMH Behavioral Services. Young people who have seen something that's not supposed to be in society
Hmm.
and have built organizations now that are impacting both
Hmm.
mental health and behavioral health services, and
Hmm.
then also food justice and food equity. So I
Hmm.
do get a chance to see, and that's who I gravitate towards
Hmm.
now,
Hmm.
is people who really want to see change and are willing to do the work and see the benefits long term.
Hmm. I
Now,
love
I
it.
do
I
want to
love.
say, sure, Dr. Sure, I do want to say,
Hmm.
you mentioned, do I see it? I do
Hmm.
see that, but
Hmm.
then I also see it's a lot of frauds out there too
Hmm.
in the nonprofit space who are in positions of leadership and are really about themselves. So
Hmm.
it's a bunch of frauds out there too.
Hmm. I just want to underscore, I love your inclusion of not just only that strategic framework of mission, vision, and values, you're emphasizing embodying it and underscoring the importance of treatment in relation to it. So I think that's powerful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
All right. You think we got
Okay,
time for another question before we take a break, or you want to take a break?
I think we should take the break because I have a lengthy
Yeah,
question.
yeah. You got a deep question. We're going to dig deep into this
Yes.
as well. Again, we've got the person to dig deep and help us think this through with us today in Claude Robinson. So we're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to dig a little deeper in terms of what Claude does for the sector, for the community, for the nation, and certainly share a little bit more about that after this commercial. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And we are back with more on Leadership Matters. For those who are just joining us, I'm Dr. Dre, your lead co-host for this afternoon. And with me today, my co-host, Dr. Cheryl White and Dr. Loretta Howard. So glad to have them aboard. And we've got a wonderful guest as we frame out this visionary leadership in Claude Robinson. Dr. Loretta, you were just about to get into a deep question for Dr. Claude. What was that question?
Yes. All right. Dr. Claude, since you work with so many nonprofit leaders across the country, when a new client calls you in crisis mode, what are patterns you see immediately that tell you this organization has been operating in scarcity thinking?
Sure. So, honestly, when a new client calls, as a business owner, I consider it a privilege that they're reaching out to Onyx strategic partners in a time of need. And what I look to do is try and make sure that they feel that they don't have to pretend with me. We talk budget, we talk opportunities, we talk barriers, and
Mm.
more importantly, I want them to trust me. And because anytime there may be an actual business proposal that's written, I mean, you're going into a contract, and then I try and help them understand that if I can't do what your need is, I can think about others who may be able to help. And then at the same time, if I can help, I help them understand that it's us. It's not you and me. It's us in this business partnership. That's what we call it. And most of the time, there's angst and
Mhm.
there's uncertainty, frustration, some disappointment. All of those emotions and all of those feelings are there. So for me, it is to kind of level set and create an environment where the potential client feels a sense of ease. And then we can further the discussion into what could potentially happen. And then more importantly, we set up what do we see as success together. So I don't have like this cookie cutter model of how I go about working with clients because everybody's different. Their workflows are different. But we have to be aligned for us to be successful. So I would say scarcity is just part of the process, part of the equation. But then at the same time, you don't go from scarcity to abundance overnight. So you
Right.
have to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, sometimes they're difficult conversations, but if you build that trust with them, they're going to be willing to listen to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yes,
that. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Yeah, and that's we define success together, right? I love that co-creation
Right.
piece. I think that's
Hmm.
what is a difference maker in terms of this. But Claude, truly, what's the difference between those leaders you've worked with who successfully kind of like move their organizations from scarcity to sustainability to those who don't? I mean, what is it about that leader that's able to kind of make that transition as part of that process?
Yeah, earlier in our conversation, Dr. Loretta talked about it as well. Visionary leaders that take chances, that also that listen and can admit that they have mistakes. So I think some of those values from a visionary leader are important as they're looking at building sustained success over time. So it's very important to have a plan for one, and to have a realistic plan. I just mentioned about how people may think they want something and they say, we're trying to scale to a $1 million organization, and they're like $110,000 organization right now. So
Right,
I'm like, really? Um, so how is this supposed to happen?
right,
And then at that point, we could also say, are you ready for that influx of income
Mhm.
that you can manage the growth that you're talking about? And so all of these different conversations have to take place. And to your point, those who are able to do that are people, leaders who are willing to listen and understand that growth takes time and to see larger than where they are in the moment. So I love to lay that plan out and then constantly, and I have to do this myself as a business owner to practice patience
Mm.
and to stay with the stick with the plan and don't try and do more than what you say because you may not be able to deliver on what you say if you don't have the capacity to do so.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we hear people talk about, architecting sustainable systems. What does that mean to you, and how are you helping leaders to do that?
Sure. Year over year success,
Mhm,
managed growth
mhm,
should be
mhm,
continually part of conversations that you're having with
mhm,
your team.
mhm,
And to the point I was just mentioning, knowing where you want to be in 6 months, knowing where you want to be in a year, and
mhm,
then having the patience to keep building over that time. So of course, you need all of the operations and all of the systems in place. And oftentimes, especially smaller nonprofits, they don't have the capacity to build all of those things into their actual organization. So we are able to complement
mhm,
organizations from a HR perspective, from a board development perspective, revenue generation, and even thought leadership. We're
mhm,
able to come in and help, and then also help them navigate potential donors across sectors, government, corporate, philanthropy. All of those things are alike, but they're all different. So for a leader who understands all of those things is vitally important for them to sustain themselves over time.
mhm. Great, thank you, Claude.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Okay. Dr. Claude,
Mhm.
what's the most outdated model that you see nonprofit leaders clinging to, and why is it so hard for them to let go?
Yeah, think about the nonprofit space just from a learning perspective. Many social workers, those who are in nonprofit, they come from a conditioning model of fixing things, and HR is for me, HR is outdated. Some of the approaches that the human, in times past, HR presented themselves as the champion of employees. And
Mhm.
in reality, that ain't what they were doing. They were the champions of protecting the company or the organization.
Yeah, management.
And a lot of people, a lot of employees believe that until, a situation may have happened. And then they're like, wow, I thought HR was going to benefit, and HR was at all the same time, like the FBI, getting information to protect the organization or the company. So for me, that is outdated, and it's something I think that's damaging to a lot of organizations and a lot of cultures. And people have started to see that when you see how unions are starting to formalize, even in nonprofits, because employees feel like their voices aren't being heard. So for me, that's one of the outdated, and from an HR perspective,
Mhm.
do what's best for employees,
Mhm.
and you're
Right.
doing what's best for the organization.
Okay, so let me just say this for the HR professionals who are listening. That is that not all HR
Oh no, I'm
departments,
not talking
right, not
absolute.
all of them, but
Right.
yeah, there are those who actually are they don't necessarily have the values that support the appropriate treatment of employees, that they may be, more interested in, like you said, risk management and the organization being protected. And so on and so forth. So
Yep.
just not to paint all the HR departments with that same brush.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Dr. Cheryl.
Yeah.
And I appreciated your answer, but I'm sitting here like, oh wow, you eliminate me.
So the thing is that there Vu Lee, nonprofit AF, he
Mhm,
just put an article out,
mhm,
critical of the nonprofit sector.
mhm,
Mm,
And HR is a part of the nonprofit sector,
mhm,
and
mhm,
we can't have
mhm.
that entity not being bringing the value to an organization that it should, the
Yeah.
employee engagement, the
Right.
employee experience,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
those are your most valuable assets.
yeah,
mhm. Yes.
they really are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. And I know that the narrative that you're speaking exists. And I
Hmm.
just wanted to make sure that we know that not all HR departments are that way. And in many organizations, sometimes employee engagement rests in HR, sometimes it rests outside of HR in your learning and development or organization development or
Right.
other segments of the organization. So I hear you. And
Yeah,
I just wanted
Yeah.
to again give voice to those who
they
are doing
they
it
could come at
in a
me,
healthy
Dr.
way.
White. They could tell them they could come holler at me. We could have a conversation.
You got one right next to you with Dr. Loretta. She's in HR as well.
But I am about employees and what's best for them. I mean, I,
Yes.
I agree with what you said because I have worked in organizations. It was
Mhm.
corporate, but I have worked in organizations that have been like that. And it was really HR was almost like the additional legal team that's
Yeah.
making sure
Yeah.
that leadership didn't get in trouble and everything, is to help them. So, but
Yes.
it is about the employees, and you have to know how to treat people because then
Mhm.
they know you really care about them. I don't care what you say. I don't care about your vision statement and all of
Mhm.
that. People pay attention to how do you treat people, even
Yeah.
the janitor.
That's
How do
right.
you treat people?
Mhm.
So, and I'm nice to the facilities people because I need them.
Mhm.
Right.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. But wouldn't you, I mean, I know we got another minute before break here, but do you call those folks visionary leaders, those who are, considerate of others? I'm thinking to myself, does that really fit into the pile of being a visionary leader? The facilities manager, I mean, I'm thinking visionary leader, okay, something's missing there. I think you could be a little bit more pointed and not be so soft and so cuddly with all of these departments. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking differently here. So,
You,
Well,
you
I think it
always like to
definitely
throw that
fits.
wrench. You know
Yeah,
you
sure.
need
he goes agitated.
There I
You
go.
know that,
There I
Claude. You
go.
know that.
There I
But
go.
Dr.
but
Cheryl.
certainly, I agree with Claude. That
Yeah,
visionary leadership absolutely includes
right,
how you treat people because that's part of the
right,
vision. If you're not treating people
right,
correctly,
right,
you won't get the commitment necessary to move that organization forward.
right.
And
And we had a
you might
former
get
guest who
compliance, but
even
not
talked
necessarily
about
commitment. Hmm.
Yeah, a former
Hmm.
guest even talked about when you are thinking of succession planning, you
Hmm.
even think about the facilities people. I
Yeah.
mean, you really do. You need them.
Everybody. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
So yes,
everybody.
yes, Dr. Dre.
Wow. So sensitive. Wow.
So
All
Dr.
right.
Loretta and I support Claude's voice on that. Yes.
Yes, we do.
Compassion's a big part of it.
Let's go. Let's go. Yes.
All good. All good. Well, it's getting a little hot up in here in the studio, so let's take a break, a short break. And when we return, we'll delve some more into the visionary leadership and do a round robin, quick, rapid fire question for Dr. Claude, as well as part of that next segment. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And we are back with more on Leadership Matters. For those who are just joining us, I'm Dr. Dre, lead co-host. With me today are my co-host, Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Loretta, and our wonderful guest, Claude Robinson, who is really giving us some really vision as we think about visionary leadership for the sector. We have another audience question. I wanted to make sure we got that in too. We've been having such a good time with going back and forth, and I think the heat's come down just a bit around the HR and the facilities people. So thank you so much for that. But here is the second question. This individual says, I aspire to become a visionary leader, but I'm not sure I have what it takes. What advice would you give to me if I wanted to go along the pathway in becoming a visionary leader? Dr. Cheryl and Dr.
Mm.
Loretta, Claude, you can also chime in too.
Yeah, I will say that when we ask ourselves questions, we can trigger thinking within ourselves. We can um, evoke, you know, thinking. So if I want to be a visionary leader, I need to ask myself visionary questions, like what's possible? What else could be? And 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where do we want to be? So if I ask myself visionary questions and allow myself to go there, then it can support visionary thinking. Um, and um, and then the leadership component of that, it actually, do they say visionary? They want to be a visionary leader.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So, and then the leadership part of that is then me being able to articulate, maybe think about it clearly enough to where I can articulate that vision and help enroll others in that vision to mobilize them toward the accomplishment. But allowing myself to brainstorm possibilities becomes a really big, and do some scenario planning, looking beyond what is to what's possible. It's really going to allow us to have that mindset. And then those things that Claude and Dr. Loretta mentioned as relates to being willing to be courageous enough to take the risk of sharing those thoughts that are visionary and enrolling others.
Great. Great. Dr. Loretta.
Yep. I agree with everything Dr. Sherrill said. The only thing I would actually add to that is also stay curious, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and find mentors, people who are going to help to pour into you,
Mm-hmm.
who want to see you be successful and grow, but don't let your own fear stop you for sure, because you can't let that dictate your choices, especially when you're a leader, because there are times you're going to have to make some very difficult choices. Everybody's not going to like it, but everybody doesn't see that vision where you're trying to take them to as well. But yeah, find people who will be those good mentors and always stay curious and remain humble because you don't know it all.
Right. Yeah, and I would say to
Mm-hmm.
aspiring to be a visionary leader, you have to know who you are. If you
Mm-hmm.
get away from
Mm-hmm.
TikTok and all social media, and then those soap operas or whatever, sports, get away
Mm-hmm.
from that stuff. Sit with yourself in silence and ask yourself, who am I? And then, what am I here for? And
Mm-hmm.
really listen to hear, and it'll come calling deep inside of you what you're here for and who you are. And then that is vitally important, because if you don't know yourself, there's no way you're going to be able to lead others. And to the point that the colleagues are saying, it could be a very lonely process, being a visionary leader, because people may not understand it, they may not see it, and they're going to doubt you, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to doubt your vision. But when I say knowing yourself, if you know yourself, you're not doubting yourself, and you're going to be able to continue to push forward until that vision manifests itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
love everything folks have said. And I think I would just add the odd piece to this. Everyone can't be a visionary leader. I mean, maybe I'm being the downer here of all of this, but some folks are just meant to support and to be a provider in terms of cultivating as part of that process in terms of being a leader. So, sometimes I push against this whole concept that everyone is and everyone can be a visionary leader. So I push against that notion, but I think you've got to find purpose and ask yourself the right questions. And if you get the right answer, certainly that will lead you to becoming a visionary leader, then you've got it. If you're
Mhm.
still struggling to think about, well, am I a visionary leader or not? Then we've got some real thinking to do. Because again, and there's nothing wrong with not being a visionary leader.
Mhm.
The pot is big for everyone. I will
Mhm.
put that out there as well. So
So
Yeah.
only thing I'm gonna say is that you know, visionary coming from vision,
mm,
meaning you see,
right.
and
Mhm.
we all see.
Okay.
Mhm.
It may
Mhm.
be like it might be levels to this shit,
Mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
But
Okay. Okay.
you have to be able to see in front of you
Okay.
and where you're going, and
Okay.
that ain't
Mhm.
got nothing to do with anybody else.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll echo that for just a moment because I want to push against Dr. Dre as well and say that everyone has the ability. The question becomes whether or not it's the space they want to be in, right?
Mm,
Right.
And I love going back to what Claude said with regards to what's my purpose, right?
mm,
If I go
Mhm.
inward first and I figure out what's important to me, what are my values, having that value and purpose-based leadership. Dr. Dre, I often hear you talk about North Star, having
mhm.
that North Star.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I agree. There may be levels to this concept of vision,
Mhm.
but everybody has the potential, but whether or not that's the space you want to place yourself in, it's not a can you. It's is that what we can do the things we can do, or we can do the things with purpose to do. What is
Mm,
my purpose,
okay.
right? And so is that the seat I need to place myself in to
Sure.
to to actually live in or out my purpose.
Okay. All right. I
Mhm.
got you. All right. Good
Mhm.
stuff. Good stuff. Love to
Mhm.
hear from the audience. Again, drop us a
Mhm.
line. What do you think
Mhm.
around this visionary leadership piece as well?
Mhm.
At Leadership Matters questions at innovisions.org. So keep sending those questions in and
Mhm.
drop us a line in terms of where your thinking is around this whole visionary leadership piece as we continue to
Mhm.
move ahead. So, Dr. Shell, why don't I
Mhm.
toss this back to you for a question for Dr. Claude?
Yeah, so loving the discussion.
Yes.
Claude, what does leadership from your perspective actually look like in a healthy organization versus one that's just maybe going through the motions and checking the boxes?
Yeah. I think someone who who understands their values, like in a healthy organization, you're
Mhm.
talking about culture, and
Mhm.
leadership does help set the culture of an
Mhm.
organization by what they believe, what they're doing
Mhm.
consistently, not just what they're saying, but
Mhm.
what they say and do match up. And
Mhm.
I think healthy organizations are inspiring.
Mhm.
They're innovative, and then they're also invigorating. Where people aren't RIP, meaning retired in place. People
Mhm.
see it, they feel it, and they want to be a part of what can I do to help the
Mhm.
organization
Mhm.
become successful. And then for healthy or internal, but then external as well is where external audiences see and they like, man, what are they doing over there? And
Mhm.
people outside, say as someone who goes to court on behalf of a client, and the judge is like, every time the staff members from this organization come in, they are professional, they're respectful, and I can see the interaction between their client and them. I wonder what they're doing. So there's that external as well. So
Mhm.
internal,
Mhm.
external, and I think most importantly is then you're focused on why you're there, and
Mhm.
depending on what type of nonprofit it is, you're more than likely there to serve. And
Mhm.
as long
Mhm.
as that's staying top
Mhm.
of mind, and
Mhm.
service to others is being modeled and
Mhm.
appreciated, then I think those are healthy environments where people don't even want to leave. Go home.
Right.
Why you still here? Go home. You got to come back tomorrow. It's just that type of
Mhm.
environment there. And
Mhm.
and the reality is that people tend to overlook things that are so obvious when we look at culture.
Good point.
If you watch sports sometimes, you see the environment, and these are like top tier professionals, like the best
Mhm.
in their field, and they
Mhm.
mess up every game, every day. They mess up in front of millions of people, and you
Mhm.
see their teammates or their coaches or the owner just wrap their arms around people,
Mhm.
tell them it's going to be all right. That's a culture that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think those are the things that make up healthy
Mm-hmm.
companies, organizations, and then just work environments.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
Right,
Claude.
right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, we're going to go into the section we like to call rapid fire.
Oh, I
So I
need to
want you to
back
get
up.
ready.
Boxing a little.
Gotta get ready. Answer one or two words because we're going to go really quick. So you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Red flag that a nonprofit engagement won't succeed.
Lying leaders.
Ooh,
Hmm.
okay. Green flag that tells you a leader is truly ready to transform.
Loving leaders.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. We on that L track right now.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got
Mhm.
it.
One metric every nonprofit should track, but most don't.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
All
Mhm.
right. The question you ask in every first meeting with a new client.
How can I help you?
All
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
Buzzword you wish would disappear from nonprofit work.
At the end of the day,
Mhm.
Tool or framework you use in almost every engagement.
we have our own VACLAR model.
Mhm.
Okay. The hardest truth you have to tell nonprofit leaders.
The hardest truth would probably be if they're not living out the values that they're
Mhm.
supposed to.
Mhm.
Best investment a struggling nonprofit can make.
Hire a lobbyist.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
How long does real transformation take if you can put a number to it?
2.5 years.
Okay. What percentage of your recommendations actually get implemented?
So we're on year 4 for Onyx Strategic Partners, and it's 94.1%.
Wow.
Wow.
Impressive.
Okay. That's wonderful, man.
Yeah.
The one thing funders should fund, but they won't.
Consistent leadership development programming for executives.
Okay. Strategic plan or strategic thinking, which matters most?
So I think strategic thinking, because a strategic plan can happen, but I also want to say strategic implementation is important.
Okay. And the last one, hope or realism. What do nonprofit leaders need more of right now?
I think they need hope because the current society is showing folks what's real.
Definitely. Thank you so much. You managed to get through rapid
I made
fire
it.
and you're not
Yeah.
burned at all.
All right.
All right.
Look at that. Look
Thank
at that.
you.
Although I,
Mhm.
although I would like to go deeper into the line leaders piece, but
I
we don't have
know,
time for that.
right?
But maybe
Yes.
another episode for sure. Wow,
Yes.
that is
Mhm.
great.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Claude.
Yeah.
You're
Well, we'll
Okay.
come
welcome.
back when we come back.
All
We
right.
have to, and maybe during the course when we tease it out, because I don't think nonprofits can hire lobbyists, but they can work with advocates.
Okay.
But I mean, we probably have different
Yes, they can.
perspectives
Let's
on
talk a little
that.
bit about that. Yeah.
Yes, they can.
Well,
Okay.
depending on how they're structured, correctly, or I mean, I just want
Okay.
to.
Well, let's examine that.
We'll
But I know
talk.
we
Yeah,
got to take
we'll
a
like,
break.
maybe look a little bit at that. But
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
okay.
Okay, so we will be back. Certainly, we're going to take a short break. We're going to talk a little bit about the
Mhm.
lobbyists and the advocacy piece as part of that process. But this has been a great conversation with Claude Robinson
Mhm.
so far.
Yes.
So we ask that you
Yes.
still please stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters,
Mhm.
informing leaders, inspiring solutions.
Mhm.
And we are back with more on Leadership Matters. For those who are just joining us, I'm Dr. Dre, your lead co-host. With me today, my co-host, Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Loretta. Wonderful guest with us, Claude Robinson, who's really just dropping the knowledge for us on this afternoon as we talk about this visionary leadership. Before we took break, we were kind of getting into a discussion lobbying versus advocacy. What's the difference? Dr. Cheryl, you want to lead us into some more of that discussion?
Yeah, just love to hear Claude share a little bit more with regards to his perspective on how nonprofits can actually go about not only advocacy but lobbying. What that frame looks like for you.
Sure. So at Onyx Strategic Partners, we're a strategic business consulting firm.
Mhm,
A large portion of our business services are public affairs, government strategy, community engagement as well. And so I'm a lobbyist
mhm,
here in the city of Chicago, the
mhm,
state of Illinois, and then I also do federal work.
mhm,
So as a lobbyist, I'm registered
mhm,
and I then represent my clientele. And I'm
mhm,
primarily working with small to mid nonprofits to help
mhm,
them navigate the
mhm,
government
mhm,
sector. So,
mhm,
and I know there are a lot of people who say that nonprofits can't have lobbyists, and the reality is that they need to do some research and see
mhm,
that many of the larger nonprofit associations
mhm,
have contract lobbyists working on their behalf. So
mhm,
there's the lobbying aspect, but then there's also the advocacy. So
mhm,
advocacy, if you're doing advocacy as a
mhm,
nonprofit, you probably don't have to register or as a lobbyist, but you can have a registered lobbyist
mhm,
working on your behalf to help
mhm,
generate revenue,
mhm,
help inform and shape policy, and
mhm,
then make sure that your organization is centered in
mhm,
in the best possible light so that when decisions are being made,
mhm,
decision makers see you and want to
mhm.
invest in you.
All right. Well, thanks for giving voice to
Great.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Didn't know that.
Great
Wow.
information.
Mhm.
Great. Claude, let's get to some of, I know our time is running up here.
Mhm.
This has been a wonderful conversation. This certainly could have continued on for hours, but as we think about, if every nonprofit leader listening could take just one action, I mean, as people are planning and rounding out their first or their third quarter of the year, based on a conversation that we've been having, what is that one action that leaders should take as we think about this visionary leadership frame?
Sure. I would ask the leaders to not just be insular in their vision or their actual sphere, and to look at the larger context of what's happening in the United States of America, but then also to invest time in learning what's happening globally as well, and to really we just talked about government affairs and government strategy, and a lot of nonprofits aren't spending a lot of time there. They're just looking at is funding being cut. But
Mhm.
why is it being cut? Who's cutting it? And then, how are you planning for now and then what will be? So where are you learning? And then what circles are you in? And then how are you planning to lead the organization through the current times that are happening in these moments right now?
Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Powerful.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Mhm.
Yeah. Dr. Cheryl?
Yeah, so one of the questions we're asking all of our guests is, what do you hope for and what brings you joy?
Yeah, so joy for me is just life. Uh
Mhm.
the ability to be in community with
Mhm.
others and family, and a real appreciation for life. I don't, as I get older, don't take it for granted.
Mhm.
Like when I was
Mhm.
younger, you think, oh, I'm gonna live forever and everything, but
Mhm.
things matter, and just being in proximity with people who I love and who love me, and then also being able to serve, bring
Mhm.
joy.
Mhm.
I
Wonderful.
mentioned this earlier.
Mhm.
As a kid, always wanting to find balance and harmony in relationships. That hasn't gone away. So if I'm able to do that, I'm looking for ways to do that all the time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mhm.
Excellent.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know we're getting near the end of our show, and I agree with Dr. Dre. It really could have just kept going on, but what are your final thoughts, Claude, or tips that you would like to share with our listening audience, and how can they contact you?
Sure. They can find me on all social media except Threads. I don't mess with that stuff anymore. By the way, that's Twitter for folks that don't know.
Okay.
But I'm on, at Clearly Claude on Instagram. At Facebook, we have Onyx Strategic Partners, LinkedIn, Onyx Strategic Partners. We're on all of those mediums. They
Okay,
can find
great.
me there. And from a business perspective, LinkedIn would be probably the best way. If you want some comedy and some fun stuff, you could probably go to IG and Facebook. There's some funny stuff on there, because you're a professional, and you're also a person. So
Mhm.
Right,
all, all,
exactly.
all of those things matter. And your question about leaving folks, just just know that you're called to do something.
Mhm.
And this moment that we're in right now, what are you being called to do?
Mhm.
And as time moves on, and you look on the other side and look back at history, you can ask yourself, what was I doing, and what was I contributing to society, to my circle during this moment, so that as time moves on, I can look back and say, I added to the goodness of humanity.
Mhm.
Wow, thank you. Love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
goodness of humanity. Love it. Love it. I still
Mhm.
want to explore. We got to do a session two because I still want to explore that line leaders
Line
thing.
leaders.
Wow, wow.
Why
So we
not
got
the
to get to
loving
that.
leaders? We could do
There
both.
Both
you
of
go.
them.
I love it.
Mhm.
Right.
I love it. I love it. Wow, this has been wonderful, Claude Robinson. We thank you so much for again your knowledge and the intelligence and the good conversation you've brought to this show today. Very powerful for us, and we want to just thank you for being with us today. We thank you for who you are, for your leadership as well, and to our listening audience, we want to also thank you for tuning in. We invite our audience to continue to send those questions. Drop us a line on how we're doing. What can we do better? What can we do less of? At Leadership Matters questions at innovisions.org. But please join us every Wednesday on YouTube at 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Central, or download our podcast the very next day at your convenience on demand. It's been such a wonderful pleasure also to be reunited with my co-host, Dr. Loretta, Dr. Cheryl. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
And until next time on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, where we are informing leaders, inspiring solutions, we'll see you next week. Thank you.